Action 52, no way, more like crappy 666, oh my lord, this game is the worst game I ever seen. Here the reason why I hate this game: 1. This game has the poor graphics. 2. It has misleading, inconsistent titles, inconsistent difficulty. Some games are unwinnable, others are impossible to lose. 3. Some games are heavily glitched, with some games like Star Evil having bosses that don't bother to show up. Character, enemy design often make no sense. 4. Most of the music tracks are terrible save for the few exceptions. They also often use dissonant voices and are repellent to the ear. 5. Some games had lack of enemies in most games, stupid weapons, such as a Gant lollipop, and misleading power-ups in games like Streamers. No reward for completing any of the games. You're either forced to start the whole game from the beginning again or get a game over screen. 6. The developers made a pathetic attempt at an epic final game called Cheetahman, which was one of the worst ones coincidentally. 7. There are no continues or checkpoints in any of the 52 games. Here are the reasons why this game for NES is garbage. Quantity over quality. Despite having 52 games, or 50 games of permitting the unplayable games, none are very appealing. Most have less content than a regular Atari 2600 game, and all are nearly unplayable. The Genesis version is somewhat better. All 52 games are playable on some emulators. Horrible and cringe-inducing sound effects, frequently crashes in the NES version with some games, if you play an actual cartridge of the game for more than an hour, not that you want to. The cartridge becomes hot and starts to smell of burning plastic. The NES version has a large number of mediocre space shooters, with the total of 10, if played on real hardware. Games like Alfredo and Jigsaw will simply crash at a black screen upon loading them in the NES version. Poor controls, including poor jumping. The price for the game was $199 or almost $4 per game, yet it is not worth it. Poor animation. Horrible collision detection, lack of any common sense, including games like Evil Empire and Billy Bob, where you lose the game in midair. Plagiarized music. The drum break, used for the game's title screen, is taken from It Takes Two by Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock. Several songs were stolen from the music studio for the Atari Street. Bad grammar. Despite being developed in an English-speaking country, the manual only has very short descriptions of each game, which most of the time are misleading. Bits and Pieces, for instance, is described to be a puzzle game when it's actually a platformer. The manual you can read here. Speaking of the manual, while is nice that it's translated into multiple languages: English, French, German, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and Arabic, it seems pointless as the game was only released in the US. Almost every game is exactly the same as the last, in Cheetahman and a few other games. They reused characters from other games in the compilation, meaning the developers were either lazy or had very time to make characters. The intro in the NES version will glitch for a little bit. Originally, there was supposed to be a prize for beating Ooze on the NES, but since it crashes on one of the levels while transitioning to the last level, it was dropped and was impossible. Read 24a. Now, here are the reasons why this game for Sega Genesis is garbage. In the Genesis version, the game contradicts itself, as the first screen that appears when you boot up the game says licensed by Sega. Then the very next screen says not licensed by Sega. In the Genesis version, the only way to change games is to press the reset button on the console. The Genesis version actually has only 51 games, as mentioned in the summary. The 52nd is an endurance game of all the games. In the Genesis version, when the dog loses in the game Freeway, the dog falls apart and you can see its organs, not to mention. The game is a terrible clone of a Activision game on the Atari 2600, called Freeway, and that's the reasons why this game of the worst. I hope this game should be discontinued soon. I don't know who likes or hates this game. Well, I will going to leave it be, so forget about Action 52, and I don't know what else sucks. Cube Escape is so many times better than that crappy NES game. End of rant.